Just talking about the game last night, though, Brad, it was, and I know people have different opinions on it, but if you watch that from a West Coast Eagles supporter's point of view, you leave the game with your heart feeling good. Like if Carlton could have performed like that on Thursday night, if he'd thrown a couple of young players in and you see their effort and the results, and you go, well, we're on the right track. But I thought from West Coast Eagles' point of view, they had a crack. And against the best side in the comp, they were sort of right in it up until about the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, they did. They did really have a good go at it. And as we said, we were worried about that. We spoke about that on Thursday and Friday night in your previews, is the fact that, what Collingwood was going to turn up. You sort of just, they're sitting two and a bit games above everyone else. Plus percentage is the motivation there. Will they just do enough? The 60 points always looked a bit largesse in regards to the Eagles getting under that, which was good. But and they did enough to win. But it was a much better effort from West Coast. But this is the problem. They've got to be able to repeat it and rinse and repeat for the next 6 or 7 weeks. That's the trick, because you get to see these little green shoots. Yep. We saw that Shanahan last night. Looks like a player. You've got to give them the opportunity to try and back it up, and sort of try and do it 2 and 3 weeks in a month.
I think the bell's tolling for a few of those veteran players in the side, though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about that. They've got to move on at the end of the year, and look, they'll go to market. They'll try and trying to get it. They've got to get a few more, Baker, Graham types, and better than those, if you know what I mean. There's no, their efforts last night was fantastic. Baker just threw himself in and caution to the wind and had it 30-odd times up there with the Dacos boys, which was really, really good. But they still need, as you say, a midfielder who can have breakaway speed, and they're probably looking, like a lot of clubs, for that halfback flanker as well, who can do some damage off that run and bounce and carry and overlap into the forward line. That's what they need.
Where are you with Harley Reid?
I've never been sold. I mean, either buy, sell, keep, whatever. I'm selling. I have been for a while. I don't think he's got the necessary fitness level, for one, to be a big part player. I did warn people that when he came to the club that, yes, he's a boy of immense talent, but he was only an 18 disposal player in the under-18s. So he's not going to be a Dacos type. He's not going to be a Sheasel type. He's not going to you're going to get one every now and then where he might have a high mid-20s, a high closer to 30. But, he's I'd be worried. I wouldn't be selling the farm to keep him, put it that way.
Show goes like this. James Sullivan not far away. Chris Nelson, Racetrack, Ralphy. And then after 7 o'clock, Peter Snowden, Peter Fernie and Kody Charles is our lineup. And then Scotty Embry is coming in with Richie Bell to co-host Racing Rewind. And we talk about the day yesterday at Pinjarra. It was Belmont Guineas Day, highlighted, of course, by CJP. He was in some wonderful form. He was riding winners for a host of different trainers, and the most promising and eye-provoking win was Opportunistic in the Belmont Guineas. How good was he?
Very,
he was enormous.
Very, very sharp.
Yeah, enormous.
Absolutely.
Beats Storyville and Elite Missile, but this is the next one from the Peters livery that is going to be taking you all through that Pinnacles later on this year. There's no doubt about that. And by So You Think, third start wins the Belmont Guineas. Pretty good effort in this campaign. We're talking NRL. James Sullivan is online. A very good morning to you, Sul.
Hello, Marty, Brad, listeners. How are we, boys?
We're going well. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Got a bit on this week, going well, but just did the 3-hour drive from Canberra to Sydney, and ready to the national under 15s and 16s boys and girls is on in Townsville, so I'm commentating that all week.
Good stuff, Sully. Now, I know you spoke to Marty and the boys on Friday in drive, but just quickly go back to Thursday night. The charge down there by Cleary to get the Panthers to steal the money over the Dogs.
Yeah, they did indeed. It was a real semi-final like game, wasn't it? It's the game we wanted. We wanted a good battle, and they're back in the battle. One would say the Panthers. They're not. They're on the prowl, as one would say, because they're not letting go of the end of the day, it's their title, and they're not going to let it go easily. But
you're not sold on them, Sol. You're not sold. I can feel it.
Yeah, I'm not sold yet. I don't think they've got enough points in them. I think what'll bite them is their outside backs at the back end of the year. But young Casey McLean, I've got a wrap on him, but is he ready this year? So, mate, the way this competition's going, though, you've just got to turn up. That's the bottom line. Turn up.
He's an incredible player, Cleary. There's no doubt about that. But I must admit, Marty and I talk about this all the time. My pet hate in AFL, do you have a pet hate in rugby league where kicks get charged down? Surely the bloke steps in, He's feigned to kick, step around and then kick it.
No, Brad, you haven't got time. You haven't got time in league. In my humble, you do not have the time because you're on the go anyway. You're moving, and especially with Burton, who winds up. That's the big thing. And you got to know that they played together. How many times would have Cleary charged him down at training over the years? But my humble is you sort of just because you're committed, you don't change your mind. That's the biggest problem. Maybe you're right. Maybe if they did just take that little bit, if they weren't so committed to the kick, they could change their mind. But in my humble, it's very hard because they're in stride. So, anyway, that's my opinion.
Okay, so that was Panthers Bulldogs. Now, the two Friday night games, Sea Eagles 28, the West Tigers 10, and then the Raiders had to really battle against the Knights, 18-22.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, West Tigers, I didn't think they could win another spoon. They are ordinary. They actually are ordinary. And I was sitting with some West Tigers fans who said exactly the same, and then that Manly got away with it. At the end of the day, that's what they needed. Bad week. Yeah, you're right about the Raiders, and Ricky Stewart was very, very honest, wasn't he? He came out and he said, well, we can't play like we did in the last 20 minutes and expect to be... I know they're sitting on top of the ladder at the moment, and they will for the weekend, but Knights tried hard. The big news out of it, Ponga's out for an indefinite period, so that change where people were asking about, could you fit Walsh and Ponga into the same side? Well, Ponga's not going to be there, so he's out.
So, comfortable victories to the Broncos, the Dragons, and the Dolphins.
The Broncos were good, weren't they, Brad? At the end of the day, the spark plugs come back in.
Yeah.
Walsh, we just needed him to score, Marty, not to keep setting up the blokes outside of him. But he's been, since they've come back, they've had 3 good wins. That was a good win last night. And the Warriors, my Achilles heel for them has been their lack of points. And people can say, you haven't got to look at their points differential. It's a concern. So, they got beaten. Injuries for them, of course. Looks like Chance Nickel-Cook's had a Metcalf. If they're long-term, they're in trouble. The next game, wow, the Dragons, 26-6 they led. Only the Dragons could let the Eels get back to 26-20 and then a little bit of luck at the back end of it. And the Eels, just couldn't catch the Dragons. They needed that, the Dragons. Shane Flanagan's been under a fair bit of pressure over here, boys, to be totally honest. So they did get that win. And what about this last game?
Wow.
Holy dooly. Mate, we said...
What about your man, Hammer?
Oh, Tabuai for Dow. What about him? He tells... It was 30-6 at half time. I thought that was... I picked the Rabbitohs. I thought that was the best Rabbitohs side I've seen this year. They've now lost 5 in a row, and I think their season's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think their season's gone. People can say what they like. They got a few wins early, but they're gone now. But back to Tabuai. Oh, my God. What about Tabuai for Dow? 4 tries. And if Brad, it's quite funny. I just mentioned no Ponga, and we're talking about Welsh going to fullback. The Hammer said, "Hey Billy, don't forget me."
Well, now they're currently 8th. They've been on this roll and this scoring frenzy where they are now the highest scoring team in the competition. 478 points, 4 from 16 games.
Yeah, they had that blip last week, obviously in Perth, and I think the big thing we probably forgot last week, the Knights went into that game with the second best defence in the comp. So they just shut them down. But if you let them run, oh, my God, can they run? Well, the Dolphins like surfing, don't they?
Yeah.
I was surfing last night. Oh, fair dinkum.
So
but you're right.
Do they make the 8, Sol? Do they make the 8? And if they do, are they a genuine chance of either winning or going deep?
I can't see them winning it. I can see them making the 8 because as as I said to the boys on Thursday, they've got 5 injuries that are season-ending of guys that are in that top 17. So will the lack of injuries upset them? But as I said, that was a very, very good victory last night.
Mm.
Hey, Sal, I really appreciate the little shorts that you send me on the SMS. And with the Rabbits, with Wayne Bennett, I mean, seriously, why the chit-chat about PNG? You know, why he's only just lobbed his feet under the chair here.
He has, and you're right. And that, to me, and that can upset the apple cart behind the scenes because they're obviously blokes that he's dealing with at the Rabbits. But I think the big thing is Volandis loves the bloke. Volandis if Wayne Bennett said, Peter, you jump and jump high, he will. That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he wants him involved. But as you said, Brad, he's already started one club. Just let him have his dynasty with one club, not 2. Just leave it alone. I agree with you, mate. It just upsets the apple cart, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
Well, if I was a player, I'd be a bit concerned. You know, you just you wonder. They always talk about the messaging, don't they, Marty? And it's a bit mixed messaging, isn't it? Hey, mate, you in or you out? What's going on?
Particularly, you've got to say he's a little bit of a mercenary, isn't he? As a coach, you shop him around a bit. The money's right, he'll go. By the sound of it.
Oh yeah, especially what's he 75?
He's got a lot of kids too, hasn't he?
Yeah, but they all should be looking after themselves by now.
Yeah, but it might be the grandies getting him now. You never know. Got to keep paying. What about this game today? The Storm were $1.32. Can we throw them into multis? Sharks are $3.35. It's 9.5.
Yeah, obviously they met in round 11, as we know, at Shark Park, and it was Sharks 31-26. They're both pretty unconvincing last week. I know the Storm got away with that win against the Rabbitohs, and we know the Sharks, they got beat by the Bronx, who are on fire. Let's be totally honest there, and came from behind. But at home, they've won their last 9. Yep. I think they just win at home, to be honest. Yep.
Yeah, and then the Titans, $2.25. The Q Clash, North Queensland Cowboys, $1.64. It's 3.5.
Yeah, desperation from both sides here, and I think the Cowboys have to be desperate. They've lost their last 3, leaking 138 points. Titans have won 4 of their past 5 against the Cowboys at home, but I am going to go the Cowboys, boys.
All right, how are we playing this, Salt? I've got to write it in the book.
Yeah, Melbourne and the Cowboys to win by 5 or more. We'll go that one on the win 5+ margin. And then try any time. It's not a lot, but it's enough. Xavier Coates into Jeremiah Nene at $4.77.
$4.77. What was the multi, the return on the first one? $3.
$3.02.
And 2 cents for the punters. Beautifully done. Now, where are you heading to Townsville?
Oh, no. As Brad knows, we call some games off the screen now, don't we, Brad? Oh.
Yeah, we do, mate. We're fakes. We're deep. We're AI.
Fake news.
I'm not a lover.
No.
Trust me.
No.
It must be difficult, though, just to really be, trying to generate the enthusiasm and excitement when you're in a studio and you haven't got the crowd around you. Yeah,
no, it is. I'm not a fan of it, but
that's the way it goes.
It all depends on the bloke on the end of the camera. If he's a good cameraman, we're right. But if he's not, holy dooly, watch out.
So isn't it funny, Brad and Sul, with the amount of money that goes into the TV rights and the broadcast rights, and the reason they're doing this is obviously cost. So
yes.
Where'd all the money go?
Well, into the rights. Pretty much, but you say you got to look after your product, and it's very, very hard. And I've seen it on BBL, I've seen it on other sports as well, where the boys are getting caught out, Sully, because I remember watching a Scorchers game there one stage, and the bloke goes, "It's a 6." Oh no, he's been caught.
He's out.
6 and out.
I'm probably a little bit luckier. It's probably harder for you guys, Brad, and especially AFL and the cricket because of the oval. At least my advantage is I'm calling on a rectangular field, so I can see the majority of what's going on. But I would have loved to have gone to Townsville, Marty, because, as you know, my oldest son lives there.
Yeah. All right, so you enjoy your...
Sully.
Are you down in Sydney or are you travelling down?
No, I'm in Sydney now.
In Sydney, okay, watch out. Yeah.
I call the Western Australian girls first up, so...
Call them well.
See you, mate.
There he goes, NRL. Great. James Sully Sullivan. Now, what about at Eastbourne? We've got a new tennis star.
Yes, we have.
And Maya Joint. That's her name. She's won the Eastbourne final on grass. She's a 19-year-old Australian. Only been here a couple of years. She's a US-born Queenslander. Redhead, got that ceramic skin. She's very, very pale.
Ceramic?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a bit pale. Yeah, no, she's a beauty, and she's shown some promise for a while. So this is probably her biggest breakthrough.
Good on her.
Which is great. Perfect timing.
Yep. Yeah, fantastic leading into Wimbledon. And what about Wimbledon, Brad? Gets underway tomorrow night. Have you got any thoughts, men and women? Are you backing anyone early?
Oh, look, I'm Sinner back on the grass. I mean, he's never going to be easy to pass, but Okra is playing well. It's also for the gentlemen. The ladies, I find, a bit more like Chocolate. It's a little bit more of a raffle. They send a chair it around. It's not like the old days with Steffi Graf and Serena Williams and dominating the sport. There seems to be quite a few.
That's right.
It's got a bit of depth about the ladies' tennis this year. It's on the day.
What you got to do is tune in tomorrow morning, Sports Daily. Timmy Walker. He'll have his selections, and that's where you want to find your winners through Timmy. He knows his tennis. There's no doubt about that. Now, from the text line, this is sponsored by Retrovision. Boys, I'm loathed to make it about the umpiring, but Friday night's match was ruined by one umpire who has no feel for the game. In the last quarter, Sydney's Callum Mills was given a 50-metre penalty for going over the mark when an 8-metre kick was judged a mark, and instead of it being play on, it was 50 metres. Then the same thing happens to the Bulldogs defender 10 minutes later, and it's just come back to 2 metres, no 50. This was crucial and ruined the best game of the season. Rick from Rossmoyne. Gee, this stand on the mark rule has just got everyone confused, hasn't
it? Yeah, Rick, I was asked last Saturday week, as to what I'd rate the umpiring out of this year, and I unfortunately gave him a 4. And I'm back to a 3 now because there was not only that one, there was the Callum Mills, there was the Sam Darcy 50-metre penalty. And, mate, how did Chad Warner get paid that mark on half forward? Where clearly it had more grass.
Oh, the grass ball, yes.
I mean, fortunately, from that point of view, he didn't hit it well and it didn't register too much, but it could have been. I mean, these are the sort of things you've got to take it through the nth degree, Marty. You've got to impose that as a grand final decision, and you've lost a grand final because of a decision like that, like the Mills one, mate, it's not good enough. We've got to get better. Have to get better. Yes, we want to encourage the young umpires and give them their pathway and all of that sort of stuff, hopefully by making and rebuying AFL Park, that's going to be a bit better for them for training, etc. But they've got to get better themselves.
So, and again last night, and we read today that West Coast coach Andrew McQualter was left bemused after a couple of decisions went against his side, and the main one he's confused about, and at the time it got me out of the chair, I've got to say that, there was Ned Long, we had it a long time.
For an eternity.
Yeah, and flicks it out, and it goes to poor old Duggan, who's clamped straight away by Lipinski. It's given he had no prior opportunity, where I think Ned Long definitely did. Then he had less time to get rid of it with both arms pinned, and you're holding the ball, son.
Well, it's still that element of he tried. What is that? I mean, I don't care if he tried. The bottom line is you've got 2 ways to dispose of the football, by hand or by foot. If you don't do it correctly, guess what? Free kick.
So
incorrect disposal.
So you won, and there's been a lot of talk about it, about prior opportunity and dropping it out of the rule book.
Look, I think this is where the feel for the game comes in. See, I get annoyed where there are guys like Long who had plenty of opportunity. He should have been pinged.
Yep.
No doubt of that. That Duggan didn't have time. But there are also times when, players, Sully talked about that charge down that I was talking about with Cleary, we'd agree to disagree on. The bottom line is that, some blokes get tackled in the act of kicking. They only take half a step to kick it. They're trying to get it on. And they get taken down from behind, and they get pinged for holding the ball, and that's supposedly their prior. Well, I think we've got to have a bit better feel for the game on that one because, he hasn't taken a turn. He hasn't taken 1, 2 or 3 steps. Sometimes the guys have taken half a step to throw it on the boot and get taken down in a tackle from behind, and they're pinged.
Okay, Brad, we will have a lot more time to talk about this after 7 o'clock, but what I wanted to bring up was the state of the ground at the SCG on Friday night. This has got to a point now, and it just didn't happen overnight, right? It just didn't happen before Friday night's game. It has been going on since that Bocelli concert, right?
Yep.
And it's got worse, not better. And
it was just unacceptable. You don't want that because guys were. I hate blokes flipping over anyway because sometimes blokes fall over just to get out of contest, I slipped over, I'm out. But that wasn't the case on Friday night. That was genuine blokes either trying to get off the mark to go and contest the ball or change direction, and they're going A over T. So they're sending the grass god, they call him, Bruce McPhee, to Sydney to try and make some urgent repairs. They've got less than 9 days now. It was 9 days since Friday to try and get that fixed. But you can't have that, Marty. I'm not going to fall for the 3-card trick where, what if someone does an injury? What if someone doesn't? That's all fine. You still do knees on good grounds. You still do calves on good grounds. So let's not fall into one size fits all, but they do have to do something about it, there's no doubt. And they won't change the venue. They're not going to change for Fremantle or anybody else for that matter. And there's no doubt there's agitation there by some people to change the game, change the venue, but that's not going to happen. And I think they'll get up there and they'll do the best they can. They can do some wonderful things these days, these horticulturists / curators. And, I'm expecting a good tick-off surface by the time Fremantle will get up there next week.
So you think he can turn around in this period of 9 days between matches?
Yeah, I do. They're geniuses, these blokes. They really are. So there's obviously something amiss. Something hasn't taken. Something hasn't gone.
Looked like it'd been top dressed with a lot of sand on there, didn't it?
Something, yeah. Well, the last time I can recall, I was just trying to think of the guy. I don't know if it was Sullivan from Carlton or Ron DeLulio. I can't remember. That was at Waverley. That's where it was rolling up, Marty. You remember that time back Waverley back in the day? I think one of the Carlton players might have done a knee. That's a different kettle of fish because you can't have the turf rolling up as you've rolled it out. That's no good.
But and then we remember in the early days too, under the lid there. Well, I think it was Colonial back in the day as well when everyone was slipping and sliding, etc. But I know what you were saying about players getting injured. But if this game between Fremantle and Sydney and there happened to be a serious injury through slipping on that turf, watch out for the litigation because they had prior opportunity to make a decision on this. Oh, yeah. And if it happens, wow.
Yeah, it won't preclude them from going down that path, I agree. But as I say, I don't want people just to use that excuse. Because as I say, you look at Wiedering the week before at the MCG when we thought he'd broken his ankle. Now, do we blame the turf for that? No. You know what I mean? There's a lot of injuries go on carpet as much as shifty ground. We'll
talk about this more after 7 o'clock because I've got one to throw at you from an interesting one. Now think about this. I'll throw it now and we'll go for some ads and catch up with the boys. When you're at that end of the ground, are you better defending or attacking?
Sunday morning, Tab Radio Racing and Sport is turned on. And you are listening to the dulcet tones of Marty Young and Brad Hardie on the Aftermath.
Very good morning, Chris Nelson.
Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Brad.
Morning, Chris. Could you beat the Crows?
Probably not, no. On current form, I'd say probably not. I'd like to think so. But actually, I think I heard a stat yesterday that the Crows have won one of their last 13 at the MCG. Is that right? Something along those lines?
Yeah, it's been a bit sparse. They've been close a few times against Collingwood and a few others and probably haven't got the job done. So who knows? You never know. But great days racing up there at Eagle Farm yesterday. Have we seen one out of the box? I had a bit of a push for it. Not that you needed it. It was favourite. But Autumn Boy in race 4, they said this might be one out of the box.
I think he might be too. I mean, we've seen some nice horses during the carnival, but they might have saved one of their best until last. Now, granted, he didn't beat any superstars, but he could only win, and he was very strong in doing so. And look, the tempo wasn't really there to suit him early. They didn't go overly hard in this race, and they did sort of sprint home. If the numbers, the numbers we got here are official numbers are correct, it was more of a sprint home. So, interestingly, Autumn Boy wins. She's Alibi runs second. Kujenga runs third. They were the three in the three-wide train.
through the race. So the one that didn't have cover was She's Alibi, so she's run a really good race. Kajenga had cover back in the field, and Autumn Boyd was on the back of She's Alibi, but I love the way he sprinted. He showed a lot that Canterbury win. He's going to get better over further. And I heard J-Mac during the week say he was a horse for the autumn. Now, I don't know what's happened to the spring, whether they're going to give him a good break, but they're already talking about the autumn with him. And that was before yesterday's win, guys.
Yeah, okay. So that was race number 4. Race 5, we'll breeze over that. It was a big win to Manzois in the Tattersalls Cup over 2,400. And then race 6, the Gold Crown. And this amazing run of Kelly Schweeder's team continues with Miss Jolene winning for Angela Jones.
Yeah, he's had a great winter, has Kelly, and you got the last winner as well. And Angela Jones got 3 winners yesterday, so she's now 1 in front of Emily Lang. So we thought that might be the case over the carnival with Emily not getting so many rides being an apprentice. Angela's got 1 ahead, but we've got a month to go. So exciting times for the girls. Miss Jolene got all the shortcuts here, or Angela Jones rode for the shortcuts, and she got them in the straight. 3 back the fence. Through she went. She was too strong for Quietness, who has Be On Me Next Time all over her. She was very good, stepping up from 16 to 2,100. The rest, not much to say. Mayor of Mount Buller pulled up lame. Osmo did a bit of work early on, but she'll go for a break now, Miss Jolene, and she fully deserves it. She probably could have won another couple of races, Marty. She's been really good all prep.
Mayor of Mount Buller would look good on Mount Buller on skis. Let's have a look. Race 7, the Inflictor and Sabak. They really settled down to fight this one out. A bit disappointing. Good push on the day and good support for Rising Pacific, but might have just gone over the top.
Yeah, I think you might be right. He's been up a little while, Brad. Look, more speed here in the race than we thought. There was only a couple that were going forward on paper, and they were the couple that did go forward.
Yep.
Being the Inflictor and Aerial Dancer, but they did run along a little bit quicker than we thought. So above average tempo. So the Inflictor's win was a good one. I mean, he wasn't proven at 1,600 metres, so he's toughed it out really well and held off Sabak, of course, who had every possible chance. And then we had another couple of lengths back to the rest of them, Chica Mojito, etc. Banana Slide bled for the first time. Cranky Harry was very wide all the way. You can't really take much away from the first 2 here, I wouldn't think. He's a good horse, the Inflictor, and his trainer is a really good story.
Yeah, Craig Cousins, tell us a bit about him.
He drives trucks for a living. I don't think he sleeps at all. He just works all day long, but he's not in the stables. He's driving trucks. I don't know how he stays awake.
Yeah, okay.
But it's a really good story. I think he's only got 2 horses. I think one of them might be Spelling. So, yeah, he's a real knockabout trainer and a great story to get on one of your shows, mate, for sure.
Yeah, we'll hunt him down while he's in the truck and have a chat. He was there to be beat, the Inflictor, and he really fought hard to hold out Sabak, so it was a good win. The Group 1, Tats, Tiara and Tashi. We've got Peter Snowden coming on the program between 7 and 7:30 to talk about this win. Couldn't have been ridden any better by Tommy Sherry.
No.
He gave it an absolute peach. How many Group 1s has Tommy ridden, do you know?
In Australia, I think this is his first.
His first.
I think it's his first.
Yeah.
Yes, in Australia.
To my eye, and just having a look at the overall time, 1:21.81 and home 35.04, they just went too quick in front, didn't they? And I think Anne's just got caught in the wrong spot with Floozy.
Yeah, quickest first section of any race on the day.
There you go.
Look, we thought they'd go quicker than the Dane Ripper 2 weeks ago, and they did, but probably didn't think they'd go as quick as they did. And look, there was plenty of pace up front, plenty of pressure. So Floozy did a good job sitting outside the lead to be beaten 2.7 lengths on the line, running 5th. And Ange did say post-race in the steward's report that the horse may have had enough now and be over the top. So she'll go for a break. She's done her job really well. Tashi, yeah, everything panned out beautifully here. Back 5-6 lengths off the lead and put into the race at the right time by Tommy Sherry and just exploded away from them in the straight. Was the best run in the Dane Ripper and just needed that extra tempo. Got it. A bounding was much better. Alencia weaved home well. Exotic Miss was very good at this level. Firestorm just got too far back. Wide on the turn was pretty hard at work, though, at that stage. And Grinzinger Bell was a major disappointment.
Surely Exotic Miss.
Yeah.
Mickey Nolan can find the right race for her. She was outstanding. She'd come again to beat Floozy after, being right up on the pace.
Yeah, I know a gentleman who's got a share in Exotic Miss, so he's beside himself after yesterday. Pity couldn't run a place, but no, she's run really well. So I think she'd probably go for a break now, and we'll see her in the summertime.
And race 9 might be a good form race. I think there's some horses to follow out here. I'm sure you'll give us some, but Metal Art took all the shortcuts. Osmo on speed, and General Salute, they will keep an eye on him.
He's good. I mean, he just got too far back. And they didn't dawdle early, but the quicker section of the race here was the last section. So the off-pace runners, such as General Salute, had the odds stacked against them. Metal Art took all the shortcuts, 6 lengths away on the fence, and then saved a lot of ground into the straight. Great ride by Jason Collett. Osmar was honest. General Salute, obviously the one to follow. Don't know where he goes next, Brad. You might have more idea of that, but obviously probably back to Sydney, I'd say. Hidden Wealth was okay. Yep. Needs some luck. Back wide, no run on. We'll be going for a break. Prince of Boom had a horror trip. He ran last. So, yeah, he's come a long way in probably this prep and his last prep, Metal Art. Now he's got away with a Group 3. So well done to all concerned there.
Yeah, they went pretty quick in the last as well, didn't they? Cracking 1.9 and a bit. Races in Rose Hill, and you want to have a look at the Highway, unusual for you. Race number 2, taken out by Red Rags to Bulls. Which is the one to follow from this race?
The winner. Now, if the official times are correct here, guys, they have absolutely dawdled in this race. Yep. The leaders have capitulated and had every possible chance those off speed. This one's come from the back and absolutely charged past them. On that, he can win again. Definitely win again. Good last start in town. Good prior to that winning at Muswellbrook. I would say Red Rags to Bulls might be a little bit better than Highway Class. So keep following this one.
And race 5, he continues to shine Joe Pride. He can get these horses going, can't he? King Secret.
He can, but I'm going to put a big asterisk next to a horse that probably a few have had enough of, and that's Spywire. But he returned to gelding here yesterday, and he got a lovely run behind the speed, but unfortunately Anna Roper couldn't get a crack at them until too late. Look, she probably got out in enough time, but he was first up. Keep in mind, he's going to take a lot of improvement on that, and he was carrying, 59.5, so a little bit more than the winner. So definitely Spywire. We can follow him. He'll win a race shortly. It's
not on the races to talk about, but the next race taken out by Thunder Lips. Listening to Björn Baker after the race and also jock Josh Parr, they're convinced that this horse has got more wins in store, nowhere near its ceiling as yet. So it's definitely probably one to keep following, even if you haven't been on it as yet.
They went like the clappers in that race in front, so that probably helped Thunder Lips a little bit. But the overall time was very, very strong. Beating a $51 shot, who did a good job on speed. That's a little bit of a concern, but I'm not knocking the winner. And Nicky's Medal was the favourite, and he got way too far back and ran on quite strongly. So could be a good form race, that one, Marty.
And
Mr. Kipchoge, they thought it might be his day yesterday, and it was.
I think I've heard that before, Brad. Might be Mr. Kipchoge's day. He won because I was with Pure Alpha. That's simply the only reason that he won. And he was able to nail through Pure Alpha right on the line or hold him off. So there was an eyelash between the two of them. But I'm going to wrap Pure Alpha because that was the first time he'd been to 1,800 metres. And I've got him pegged as a really good wet tracker. Now, we'll get more rain as the winter goes on. He can win more races, Pure Alpha. He's racing well on firmer tracks, so that was probably near a soft 5 there yesterday. But the wetter it gets, the better for him, and he'll be winning again. Stick with him.
And again, in the last, Alain Mays. Now, this is a former French galloper, Louis Lamaterre, who's a well-known bloodstock agent. He's got another good horse running around at the moment as well. I'll have to look that up. But this horse, first run in Australia, they backed it for plenty. And it got the money. It's certainly got a future. By Glen Eagles, a son of Camelot.
Now, the best part about this, Marty, was the fact that Alamaz, in all those races overseas, had raced at 1,600. I think every run bar one, which had been 1,500.
First up 2,000.
Never been beyond that trip.
Yep.
So first up 2,000 metres, an unbelievable training performance from Gay and Adrian there. And they didn't forget to back him, that's for sure. The stable or everyone concerned and the punters. That's an amazing training performance, I think. 2,000 metres, never been to that trip ever before, first up in the country. That's tick, tick, tick. That's an outstanding effort, and the horse might have a future, you'd say.
All right, before we get your horses to follow, we going to Townsville today or not?
No, we're not going to go to Townsville because they are expecting a fair bit of rain, so things may deteriorate.
Right. Horses to follow?
Us. Not many, because most of them had their grand finals, unfortunately. Autumn Boy, wherever he turns up in the spring or the autumn. And Quietness has only had 2 runs back, so I think there's a win there for Quietness coming up, probably back in Sydney. Those ones from Randwick, Red Rags to Bulls, Spywire, and Pure Alpha.
Thanks, Chris. We'll listen in on Wednesday.
Thanks, guys. Have a great Sunday.
Racing and sport from different angles. You're listening to the Aftermath on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
What a perfect man to get it from a different angle from. It's Racetrack Ralphy from racetrackralphy.com. A very good morning.
Good morning, boys. Caulfield was a typical off-season meeting. People went looking for lanes that weren't there, but saw them all right, and much better than talking about footy, eh?
Bad kicking's bad footy. That is for sure. Well, overall, you're saying it played to the eye, Caulfield, yesterday?
Look, it played. I'll do a brief overview here. The lanes don't move. It's a fundamental of racing. The best part of the track is always going to be the best part of the track. And at Caulfield, it's about 12 to 15 off. So when the rail's out 12 metres, where do you want to be? You want to be against the rails.
Yep.
And when a couple of horses, primarily in race 2, were disappointing as favourites, everyone thought, well, let's go look for lanes that aren't there. But anyway, it swung back and people put their brains back in.
Okay.
Well, it started off with race 1. It was a very competitive race. Personally, I was on Oyster Lane, but the Son of Kirk found the line for the Freedman boys.
Yeah, I reckon you'll get your money back next up, Brad. That was, I reckon, a classic case of one horse who's got a fair bit of talent and promise, Son of Kirk, best last 800 of the day. Vince Cardi's started us through, which I'm delighted about because I can give you some more insight there. So I think it's a nice horse, Son of Kirk. Black books it from Flemington, and Oyster Lane just floated on debut. I reckon it hit the front and just said, what am I meant to do now? And that was really evident in the data as well. Last 200, real drop-off. He's going to be nice and fit, and he's one of the black bookers from the meeting. So quite a strong late season 2-year-old race this, Son of Kirk and Oyster Lane.
How about race 2 over the 1,000, taken out by Always Enough?
Well, this was the turnaround race. So when Manolo Bling and Trembles were both terrible, Trembles over raced and Manolo Bling was flat, then everyone thought the fence was off, which it wasn't. But when there's 8 runners, the 2 favourites don't turn up and 1.1 lengths between the next 6, you can brush the race.
Hey, I said on air, and I was very surprised, I backed Manolo Bling, and Brad will know this, last start, before this race, and I was surprised that it was favourite. I didn't think it was that good a run at Sandown, but anyway, it ran...
I think it was reflective of the rest of
the race. Yeah,
not much good. But yeah, it's probably almost a sign that it's had enough that they threw it in a race like this, and yeah, it was just poor.
They went slow here, didn't they? In the third, taken out by Zabo.
Has Simon Zara got the GPS? Has he found his way to the winning stall? Because he said he hadn't been there for a while. He needed to put the GPS in just to make sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, whatever pennies they had, they put it on Zabo and they got the money. The rates in the 550. I always say there's Saturday morning thoughts and there's Saturday afternoon thoughts with first up runners, and the market told you this horse was coming to play. Got the perfect run, and it was a pretty basic sort of race. Mercurial Lady bolted in a Ballarat synthetic, and you just weren't sure. It's probably in no man's lane wise. And Ill Ivy's got a nice turn of foot late, but again, basic sort of 3-year-olds versus much slower than the older horses later.
I didn't mind Bewitchery from back, considering they went so slow.
Well, and not just that. It was slowly away, and Hannah Edgley, she told the steward she elected after a slow away to go back. I think, if you have that again, you go forward.
Yeah, it led last start.
It was a classic case of just being in completely the wrong spot. So, yeah, it might rebound for sure.
Okay, Harry's Yacht was good in the 4th. Leon and Troy and Will had a good day.
Yeah, they're having a good run, and this horse, as it showed at Mooney Valley, loves wet ground. Yesterday, the track played genuinely slow, as expected. No zero knock on the curator, and it was dominant. It shouldn't have been dominant. Just for Show's tactics were ridiculous, going back wide, looking for lanes that weren't there. And Just for Show could be the horse that rebounds out of this favourite. Can't believe the stewards actually didn't question the tactics because they was poor.
Race 5, Flamin' Romans got the money there. I must admit I had a little spec at Lording. Should I follow up?
Yeah, I think it's building its fitness, and at that price, we know it's best. I think it's better if it can find a Flemington where, which we can get at this time of year, where the track isn't as soft. I think it'll go better on a firmer track. This was a day where there's some crazy false favourites. And Captain Electric, oh, my goodness, no one of the bookies can finish in front. Bolted in on a heavy 57 at Mornington, first up after 11 months off.
Yep.
Wants to do second up. So, and again, went looking for lanes that weren't there. So, Nation's Call, this is a real fundamental of data. I just want to explain briefly to our listeners, and it's a V shape. So what happens if you're on a leader and you drop anchor, it's a disadvantage of the leader, except if you drop anchor so severely that the entire field loses momentum. And that's what Brad Ruella managed to do on Nation's Call. So everything lost momentum, and that meant it was an on-pace advantage. And Flamin' Roman stalked Nation's Call and got the money in a, like I said, real unusual shaped race. I'm sure Cliff Brown and Busted and Young would be delighted with Almarac and Blanchland imports that worked home well. But yeah, Flamin' Romans, it's probably got another win on it too now that it's got its confidence back.
Race 6 over the 1100, taken out by 16 Reasons.
Yeah, well, again, so super wide's okay at Caulfield, super duper wide, and that's what I was able to swing out to. But the Black Cloud just lost its action late and probably just peaked on its run. I think that was the difference, because it didn't hug the fence, going
100%.
from Melbourne.
Yep.
Going from Sydney to Melbourne.
Yes.
It had nothing to do with the lanes. It was
Not on its Sydney leg.
100%, yeah. And, Zero Fold Tommy Preble who's a young gun on the way up. So, anyway, and 16 Reasons tried like a jet. I had it hard in the Kody, don't worry about that, and it's leading. So, I think there's a nice, strong race for these two fillies. There was a bit of a gap to rest, and Shane was okay. Goes well up the straight, so Cliff Brown might find a basic race for Shane going forward.
Race 7, the benchmark 84. Good win this, and Keep Your Cool went pretty quick, and Moby Dick does what Moby Dick does.
Well, there was 4 yesterday that I just thought, I am just looking at racing completely wrong if they should be favourite. Moby Dick was one. Just mentioned Captain Electric. And Zoo Sensation. This was perfect ride by Luke Cartwright. Just picked off late. I think Keep Cool is looking for further. It's a black book you definitely want to be on. And as you said, Brad, Zoo Sensation was terrific. His best is pretty good. So really good front-running ride there by Luke Cartwright and Keep Your Cool, and they spaced the rest, and you wouldn't want to be on anything else on slow track. Maybe a couple might improve back on firmer, but those two were the dominant horses, and they probably have got more wins in store.
I know the Mark Camp were very confident about Sadati winning this 2,000-metre race.
Yeah, I put a big circle on it when we spoke a couple of weeks back. It was just next start, this horse. And now I want to credit Logan Bates. I was a bit nervous about him riding, but he absolutely nailed the brief here. Just let the... you don't hand up for no reason. You hand up when the leaders are overdoing it. And that's exactly what he did. So he got the second line, the horse relaxed for him, and then just smashed him. So he's got more wins in store, this horse. They've got the mouthguard in, and I reckon this would be one of those typical Kieran Maher picket fences that we see in the off-season. Mm-hmm. Earlswood was sound again. Flash Billing stuck at his task. Amberite was another one in the market that just got me beat. But anyway, I'm not complaining at all. Didn't have it in the Kody, so I was very happy. So did Darty won and will win again.
What about the last race? What does the data tell you here? Geez, it was a funny race in the straight, wasn't it? Like you thought, the Open looks like, it's gone. Oh no, it's back. And Yellow Sam looked like it was tracking up, and then they thought, no, it's hit a flat spot. It's and Lim Soltorio come back, and Reinberg looked the winner on the corner. What did you make of it?
Yeah, good on TB. That was his last one, and what a race to have to go out on, because you're exactly right. And then the data has explained exactly why, Brad. They were legless. They couldn't pick up their feet late because they completely overdid it early. Oscar's Fortune. I don't know why Gavin Bedgegook doesn't run it at 1,200 because it ate a 1,400 a mile or so. They were all out on their feet the last in the blanket finish. But let me say that in it, sometimes blanket finishes are strong races, and that this is a strong off-season race. So all four in the finish can find a race going forward. I'd say the one you want to stamp out that is Reinberg. Saturday Sadate is the winner going forward. Flamin' Roman will win again, and early in the day, Oyster Lane and Son of Kirk. That was definitely a very strong 2-year-old race for the late season.
Okay, in 30 seconds, just tell us about this game yesterday, because it was a bad start by your team. Melbourne just stayed in the blocks, really got back into it, and in the end, they just let themselves down. Like Jakey Melchin, one of my favourites, kicking 5 goals, 6.
My godfather. I heard Daniel Hoyne quickly on SEN during the week saying there's never been a bigger gap or importance for kicking straight, and that's probably because the competition's even. So don't know them, you lose. You know them, you're a chance.
Racetrack Ralphy, thanks for that. We'll do it again next week.
Hi there, Ralphy.
Hey, boys.
Morning, Marty, Brad and Sophie. Hope you've had a good week. The Eagles' competitive start was from workload and pressure, and their work ethic was unquestionable. Harry Edwards was a pillar down back. Can I just jump in there? Gee, they've got some defenders that can mark well for their size and, for their amount of time in the game. They can clunk a good mark under pressure in defence, and that's what I love. The minute you start dropping marks in defence, Brad, what happens then? It's all over.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm not going to say that Harry's going to be David Dench, but I was worried at the start of the year. I couldn't believe he was always first man out the boat.
Yes.
I couldn't work it out. I thought, you've got to give this young man he's been in the system a couple of years now, but sometimes the bigger kids take a little while to mature and a little bit longer for the penny to drop. You've got to give them a month in a row. You can't have one in, one out, because they lose confidence. But he's starting to play with a bit of confidence here last night. And mind you, the doctor couldn't find him at one stage. He was looking for him, but he couldn't find him.
I was about to say that's just a farce. That is ridiculous. A farce.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Yeah, they got somebody upstairs, the third umpire in the box, so to speak. Stop the game, get him off.
I reckon the third umpire had a bit to do with this. I think the third umpire has then gone to the West Coast Eagles bench and said, just get him off. Stop ginning around. Just get that kid off the ground.
Yeah.
Harry,
took him about 8 minutes to catch him.
Yeah, well, he's not that hard.
Kept running away. Hey, he's the bloke over there. He's 6'7".
So we got to Harry Edwards. This is Lisa's text. Tom McCarthy backed up from his debut with another 29 touches. Well, we'll get onto that as well. How this happens, it's just a head-scratcher. Job Shanahan, Riley said he was a player to really watch. A great debut, moulded in well, creating space for his teammates inside 50 and leading at the ball, and had his moment in the second quarter, charging to the top of the 50-metre arc, took a strong mark and slotted his first goal in AFL. He should never play another waffle game. In the end, the class of the Pies won them the game. Brad, question marks over Flynn, Hunt, Cripps, Kelly, Reid, Duggan. I want to stop it there. I thought the two ruckmen did a terrific job against, the top 3 ruckmen in the competition. Darcy Cameron.
He got lazy last night, Darcy.
Yeah.
He didn't manoeuvre himself around the ground as well as he should. And to Flynn's credit, who I've often called a cardboard cutout, at least he found the ball and he kicked a couple of goals, which was good. And that's what you want. You can't all be one-way traffic, as you saw. Tim English started well against Grundy the other night, and then Grundy took over. So you've got to be in it for the long run. The big boss. You can't just pinch hit when you feel like it.
But there's a few names there I do agree with you. Hunt, Cripps, Kelly, Reid. I thought Duggan is playing better now than he had been for the earlier part of the season, Brad?
Yeah, well, he's taking more responsibility. He's not stat-filling like he played in the game. He was sort of getting involved, and I think that's the influence of Graham and also Baker, who hit the ground running, pretty much straight off the bat, and they do the 1%ers, and that's what you want from your leaders. Your leaders don't have to always be your best player, but you want your best example from your leaders.
And trade Oscar Allen and get picked 2 guys in 7 years. He's played 105 games, kicked 151 goals.
Yep.
Not great return for the money he's on. Take care. Enjoy your day. Have a great week, Lisa. To you, Lisa, and your family, very good morning.
I'm pretty sure that Oscar's out the door and he'll be going to Brisbane on a 6-year deal, and good luck to them. They probably want to try and pinch another flag, and they'll think it's worth it, a bit like Tom Boyd. And if they can pinch another flag with Oscar Allen up there, I think they'll be happy. Eagles
surprised the morning out of the heck out of a lot of people. They moved the ball well and made Collingwood look slow at times. Why can't they play like that every week? Well, I'd say, Brad, you've got a lot of young players, inexperienced players in there, so you're going to have ups and downs. But what's your thought on it?
Yeah, it's the reverse way. You can only play as well as the opposition allow you to play. And I thought Collingwood were off the mark last night, and that's. I'll make no excuses about that. I just could sense it. Something wasn't right about the Pies last night.
Yeah.
Late withdrawal, Bobby Hill, personal reason. It just didn't look right. And too tall. Way too tall.
Particularly in attack.
Under the roof.
4 talls.
Yeah.
And he's like, he had to give Charlie West a go, but he couldn't drop anyone. So, yeah, maybe they said, look, we're playing Collingwood. Let's try and we're playing West Coast. Maybe we can get away with it and just give them a run. And in the end, they did.
Not for the first time. Not for the first time in professional sport where a team just rocks up and said, we'll get it done.
I can't believe a team gets that much praise loss after loss. Tony of Freo. Well,
no, Tony, that's fair. But Tony, we've also got to be, give credit where credit is due. It was a much better performance, a much better effort, and it just goes to show. And they look better. I mean, they look fitter. But other weeks they've looked terrible. And that first 45 minutes against Carlton, you thought, if these blokes been training, they'll be in the box all week. It's just unbelievable. That's what happens. But when you're a team on your knees and you're trying to get things going, you need to keep hitting the scoreboard. Now, let's face it, they only scored 50-odd points, 60 points. It wasn't as if it was a, King's ransom. But at least they were getting a little bit of a reward for their buck, for their effort. But now they've got to translate that to, as I say, 3 weeks a month. That's the trick. Yeah,
exactly. Now let's have a look at some waffle results, Brad. And the Mighty Tigers beat West Coast 96-45 at Mineral Resources Park. The Bulldogs 69 beat Perth 47 in that epic 1970 grand final replay. Subiaco 103 beat East Fremantle 102 in a nail-biter, and that's a big upset result for East Fremantle, and Subi have won their last 2 now, so they're on a roll.
Oh, well, gee, I feel for the Moss Street.
Yes, and they've lost their last 2.
Wow, to fancy, it's not only they get beat by a point. How good's that?
Swan Districts 46, the Mighty Royals get them at Steel Blue 86. And the Garlic...
Noddy played his last game yesterday, did he? I think he bowed out. I think he'd been one of the stalwarts out there at Swan Districts, Tony Noddy.
Yeah, I thought you meant Noddy McCauley for East Perth.
No, Noddy's still playing down at Wembley every Thursday night. If you want to get down there with all the boys, he holds court down there and tells them how good he is.
What about this? Hey. The coachless Garlic Munchers lost their coach, lost their captain. The whole mob took off from Joondalup. 11-12-78 beat Pill 10-9-69.
Yeah, well, the new coach came in. Look, I'm still trying to work out. I don't know. I don't know the backdrop, the backstory. I don't know why I know they were 7-21, so that wasn't obviously that would have been part of the reason. But obviously the new coach said we're going to come in and have fun. So I don't know if that was a direct drive-by or whatever. But yeah, no one's actually come out from the Garlic Munchers and actually said why the bloke got the lemon and sauce in the first place. But it always reminds me of a story quickly, Marty, that. Lee Matthews was going to be coach of Collingwood for life when he won the 1990 premiership. Anyway, it turned out he rang Crackers Keenan one morning and he said, Crackers, because Crackers was the ruck coach, he said, I'm getting sacked at 11 o'clock. And Crackers said, well, why are you ringing me? He said, we came as a package.
That's a ripper. Well, there was a Group 1 yesterday up at Eagle Farm. It was the Tats Tiara. Let's have a listen to the finish.
500 metres, Arctic Glamour right off the track, then Zazu. Second last, Coco Jambu and Infancy whipped them in. The Tiara Field Thunders for home, 400 left to Rada. Grinzinger Bell swiftly headed off and Floozy ran to the lead. It's a long way up this big Eagle Farm straight, but Floozy's making every post a winning post. Bubba's Bay is challenging. Here's Tashi the bounding with a big baldy face joining in. Down below the 200, Floozy's all out and Tashi took the lead. Floozy battles on, then came a bounding, but Tashi goes for home. It's Tashi's Tiara. Tashi raced away, beat a bounding. Photo third. Alentia Exotic miss. Floozy peaking late.
There's Tashi. She wins the Tats Tiara there for Tommy Sherry and Peter Snowden. And Peter joins us on the program. Congratulations, Pete. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It was a great day. A good result for everyone. The horse rider and even the old trainer got a kick out of it. That was great.
Well done, Peter. She's a bit of an iron horse. I mean, what start number was that in this campaign?
It's about 9 or 10, I think. So she's done an amazing job. I never kept them going on that long mares, but she just kept racing so well. She's just been unlucky the last 3 starts up there. She's getting beaten short margins, and she's beating the same horses most races. And I thought, well, after Dane Ripper, I said, blow it. I never thought she was a Group 1 contender, but she's racing against these horses, and she's really putting her best foot forward and racing well. So I'm glad we did. We got a good result.
Geez, your jock rode her perfectly.
Yeah, he was good. We had a good talk about it before the race, and he had a good mindset of how he's going to ride her. And I said, whatever you do, one thing she does like to do is get the outside. That's important. You've got to try and put yourself in a place where you can get the outside in the straight, because she doesn't like to be crowded up amongst other horses. But you got that 3-pair back running line and just got out before the corner and got going. We saw before something got up around him, and she was in clear air the whole way down the straight, and she just kept motoring. So that was a good watch.
So pre-race, did you think it was going to be, they ran it very quickly. Did you think the pace would be on like it was?
I did, yeah. There's 4 or 5 speed horses there. There's 3 inside and 3 outside, and everyone was sort of trying to get into a spot quite quickly. I thought we drew a middle gate, which is great. gave us options. And when she jumped well in the first 50 metres, we went forward and tried to be on the back of that speed and you drop in where we wanted to. We ended up being in the perfect spot with 3 pairs back. We're 1 out, then got 2 out with cover. So it just kept unfolding exactly how we envisaged before the race. It doesn't often happen like that, but it did yesterday. And as I said, it was a great watch.
Yeah, Peter, is it the horse or the trainer who loves going to Queensland? Because you raced her in this campaign about the same time last year, the Healy Stakes. I think she ran top 4 and ran in the Ramornie. So she's obviously thrives up there in Queensland.
Yeah, she like a trainer, likes that sun on her back, mate. There's no doubt about that. It's a good place to go in the winter time, I'll tell you. But no, it's always a good carnival. I always like to be part of it. But it was just a good way to end. Especially for her, she runs so many placings and to get the grand final and win it, that was special.
So what about the ownership? Corrambine stud, George Altamonte's been in the game for a long, long time. Do you have many horses for George in your stable?
Yeah, well, actually, George passed away some 12 or 18 months ago, and his son taken over there. But they're great people. Anthony and Tommy, they're really good people, and they want to carry the legacy on that George built, and we're the beneficiary of those decisions. But they've been very good to me as well. Supported me right from the word go, from when I first started, when I left Crown Lodge and come to Sydney. They had a horse in the stable, so great family. A lot of tradition there, and those colours, everyone knows them, so it was good to see him win yesterday.
Yeah, she must have a great attitude, Pete, as you say, to have her 8, 9, 10 start in the campaign and just to be so consistent. She obviously loves racing and, it's as you say, mares can go off pretty quickly, can't they? So what she's done is quite phenomenal.
Yeah, no, she's one of those fillies. She's easy to train. She's a very good track worker. She eats well. She's sound. All the good things you want to happen, she's them. But she's very similar to I had a horse years ago, a horse called Beaded. She was only a pint-sized filly, but tough as nails and great to work with. But whatever you do, she didn't like to be touched. Don't kiss me, don't touch me. Actually, yesterday the photographer said, just give a kiss. I said, no way in the world, mate. She'd bite your face off. But but a lovely mare to work with. She's super honest, super genuine, everything you want, but just likes her own space.
So where to now for her spell?
I'll probably Paddock for sure, yeah. Whether we go on or not will be discussed maybe the owners now, but you're very close to breeding season now, which is probably the way she'll go, I would think, yeah.
By Sebring. You had a winner at Newcastle yesterday with California Secret. I saw it win.
Yeah, no, he's going well. He's won a couple of races now. He's won his last 3, so he's in a good patch of form. He's quite liking these wet tracks now, and he's starting to come into his own.
What else has he got in the stable? It seems to be going all right for us for our coming winners. Our listeners love a coming winner, Peter.
I think Raging Force is a horse that won on Wednesday. He's a horse to look forward to. He's going to have another run on the next Saturday or the Wednesday after, but he's a horse to follow for sure.
Raging Force.
I'm a big fan of King of Rousseau. When's he back? I mean, he snuck up on me the other day at double figures.
Yeah, he did. It's been a while between drinks for him, but he won well the other day, and he runs again next Saturday on the 5th.
So you mentioned Raging Force, a sort of late season 2-year-old by Cosmic Force, was pretty impressive there for Derby Racing. Will he keep going forward, or is he nearing a spell, or what's the story with him?
Yeah, that was his second run back in. You'll probably have one more run. That's next week, and then probably a couple of weeks freshen up, and then if he does win his next start, well, then we'll aim up and give him a crack at something in the spring. And
you've got a few 2-year-olds that we haven't seen, that'll be turning 3 that you've got some confidence in going forward?
Oh, probably Beeban's the highest touted one.
So what happened, Pete, what's happened with him? You just put him away or what?
Yeah, just put him away for the spring. Yeah, he's got a good pedigree behind him. He's from the Newgate group, and they're looking for these sort of colts that can win feature races. So hopefully this bloke can be one of them during the spring.
It was some sort of a win. We've been, talking about it because he beat Sunrays by 8 lengths, and we've seen what she's gone on and done.
Yeah, really franked the form, didn't it? It's crazy. And he beat her by a long way.
8.3 lengths.
And she came out and did the same thing at the next start, 2 starts, I think it was. So, no, hopefully he's a colt we were looking for, and he can go on ahead and do some good things during the spring.
So, being a Schnitzel colt, is it the cool? What are we looking at for him?
Well, the Coombe was the obvious target, but there's a lot of water got to go on the bridge first. But ultimately, if he keeps going the way we want him to, that would definitely be a task. But it's the aim of a lot of people, so a lot of horses. So, but look, we think he's there. We'll just have to wait and see.
And just quickly, Peter, obviously you've got a great association with a lot of jockeys, but Tommy Sherry, I mean, is that reward for effort? Has he been doing a lot of work behind the scenes with this horse and maybe others in your stable?
Oh, my word, no, he's a very dedicated young man. He's only very young. He's still his whole life ahead of him, but it was a good kick-start from yesterday. Winning Group 1s, everyone sees them, and he rode it perfectly, but he's worked hard at his work. He's a very genuine guy. He puts his hand up to come and ride work. He always offering to ride work, to be there every morning, which is rare these day and age. These boys ride every day, so they're looking to get a sleep in quite often, but this boy's different. He's always wanting to come and help out, so that'll take him a long way.
Pete, always great to have a chat with you. Well done on the Group 1 there yesterday, and continued success, mate. Thanks for taking our call.
Pleasure, Marty Brad. Good to talk. Thanks, guys.
Peter Snowden there. One here from Suey. They don't miss. They don't miss. And nor they should. Nor they should, Brad. Never a dull moment when you're on the airways, Marty, even trying to bring them back from the dead. Oops, he said Suey. Well, Sue, we sort of used to leave this to Sophie next door. She used to kill them off, but that's the first one I've done for a while.
Yeah.
Sorry, 18 months. I just missed George going on. And to George and all the family, sorry about that one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on a not so light a note, what about that one over at Port Lincoln at the moment? What's going on there? The Beauty and the Geese or Geek or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was. You see that? Unbelievable.
No, I didn't get
better.
I'm still working through and waiting on this the mushroom case. It's getting into the final stages now. They'll be deliberating. I'm worried sick. Talk of steel being traded. 1.7 million for deckoning. Deconning. Wang Malera talk. Any good news on Saints?
Well, we thought he'd probably come back from Adelaide recently, and under the spotlight, he didn't handle it too well. I think he's only young, 22. You'll see him today. And 22, 23, thereabouts. So he might end up like Rao, just spend another couple of years, finding his feet and just ascertaining where the land lies. Because, it's a big move. And as you can see, Marty, I did tell the boys that we were very confident. We thought we had Rao with Luke Beveridge, and we were second, a very close second. And it was just, it's one thing to woo them and seduce them and romance them and do all that, but you've got to get them out. It's hard to get them out, mate, and eventually, sometimes more often than not, and I always remember with Peter Matera. Peter Matera was leaving the West Coast Eagles. You probably don't recall this. And he was going to Melbourne. They were going to give him number 4, Norman Smith's jumper, the whole lot. Just when it was time to get on the plane, U-turn back to the West Coast Eagles, and what a good thing that was for West Coast Eagles supporters. But as I say, it's one thing to, as I say, romance them and seduce them. You've got to actually land them is another thing.
Okay, so on from that text about St Kilda, he said, do you give them a chance today against the Fremantle Dockers? Your thoughts there, Brad?
Yeah, you do, because, as I say, the biggest, as I always say, and people always say, Docker knocker, the biggest threat to the Dockers is themselves. As I say, I was talking to another coach the other day about this. There's 9 teams in the competition right now. Someone is going to trip over in that 9, whether they like it or not. Don't know what it's going to be. It was nearly Collingwood last night, but somebody's going to fall over at the wrong time, the inopportune time, and that might be the difference between making the 8 and not making the 8. So everybody's on eggshells. Fremantle should be on eggshells. The Dogs, Adelaide should be on eggshells today against Richmond, because, you say 8 or 9 weeks is not much. You're going to be, soon we're going to be in August, and we're going to be running to the roses, so to speak. So, somebody will fall over, but you've just got to keep banking the wins. Doesn't matter whether it's 1 point or 100 points. And, of course, there's, people talk about percentage all the time, but you don't worry about that. I mean, that's what obviously happened to the Gold Coast yesterday. They should have been looking at three-quarter time, a 60-point win, and they nearly lost it completely. So, you just can't You just can't bank on that. Just keep getting the 4 points for Rio and other teams and wait for someone else to fall over.
Well,
and they will.
I'm not too sure of the ins here for the Dockers. McDonald, Dudley, Sean Darcy in, Draper, Aish and Sharp out. And I like the ins for St Kilda. Garcia, Liam Henry is back, Jack Carroll, Webster, Bradley Hill and Ryan Burns out. He's up to something, Ross. He's up to something here. I think he's gone for a bit of speed in this team. How do you think he's going to tactically play this, Brad?
Look, I think 2 of the 3 will be tagged. I think he'll whether Garcia goes to Clark, defensive forward, half-back, and Windhager will either go to Sarong or Brayshaw. One of them's going to get him. And, so that's the way I think it'll lob out, because those 3 players are so integral to Fremantle's ball movement that when they play well, Fremantle will play well. Mm-hmm. So, he'll – and that's what he did over there at Under the Roof. Now, look, people will say, oh, well, that was then and this is now. That's true. They'll come in with an element of confidence, St Kilda, because they'll remember that game. Some teams just stack up well against other teams for whatever reason. I always have a little bit of a worry about St Kilda on the bigger grounds. That's all. Outside. Inside under Marvel, they're very good at clogging games up. I'm not so sure with a kick between each line. What I mean is that, the fullback kicks to centre half back to wing, so on and so forth. Under the roof at Marvel, if you can turn the ball over, you know how quickly you can fling it from one end to the other. The centre half back can hit somebody inside 50 to have a shot at goal. So that's my only problem. Whether they can conjure. Now, if he wants a 12 goals to 10 game, it's going to be a very taxing affair. But I'm not sure. I think Fremantle should be aiming to kick 100. I don't think St Kilda can kick 100 today.
Okay, we'll be catching up with Peter Fernie next from Kalgoorlie and looking at the meeting up there on the Goldfields. Don't forget we've got broom racing as well, so Kalgoorlie broom racing today, terrific. It'll be covered on 7+ and here, of course, on Tab Radio. But one here from Paige. She's the very hard-working secretary there at the KBRC. Good morning, gents. Can I just put out a shout to all of the team at the KBRC? 6 race meetings in 8 weeks. Our team has done an amazing job to do 2 lots of back-to-back racing. So proud of everyone. Well done, Paige. We'll be talking KBRC next.
On the Aftermath. You're listening to Marty Young and Brad Hardie on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Yes, and we've got the champion trainer from the Goldfields, Peter Fernie, joining us. Hi, Pete.
How you going, Marty? How you going, Brad?
Yeah, we're going well, Peter. We just had Paige on text saying the KBRC are very proud of their efforts, the 6th meeting in 8 weeks. How's it all going up there?
Yeah, they're doing a good job. The office and that. We used to race every week, so they're doing a good job. But, the numbers are pretty good today. It's just maidens are always a bit small, but the rest of the fields are quite good, except for the maidens. But the rail's out 10, so if we had it, we couldn't have much bigger fields because it's just limits the numbers.
Hey, Pete, before Marty runs you through your chances today, you're a gun trainer. You've got a full book today. Do you get a little knot in the stomach on race day? What are you expecting? Like you got so many good chances. Do you have a self-assessment? Do you say, I really should be winning a couple today, or how do you feel?
I try not to, then I get grumpy. So I just I put them out and hope they all go all right. You end up getting a bit, put too much pressure on yourself, you get a bit grumpy.
Oh, you're pretty good at it, Pete, aren't you? You keep a very steady hand on the tiller. Not too many things worry you.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, you've surrounded yourself with very good owners for a starter. That's the first.
Well, that makes a huge difference. That's the big key when you've got great owners, and I get a lot of support from a lot of trainers in Perth. That really helps. Yep. And great owners in Cal. And from Perth as well. Noticing
this meeting, quite a few horses from the metro area going up.
Yeah, it's put on us under a bit of pressure. We're settling a few up, so.
All right, well, let's get into it. You got 3 in the first, the Boulder Cup Day, September 21st, maiden. And the favourite of these 3 is Lavish Charm at $1.50. Has the market got it right?
To be honest, I don't really know because we've only just got it. He's a nice little horse, but until they race here, you don't really get a good handle on him, I don't think. And so his form's good enough. Normally when they're coming out of a northern maiden, they're normally hard to beat here. But the other two were good runs the other day, so they're going to be hard to beat as well.
Gee, they're a set of colours I haven't seen before with a Sheragini.
That's Big Connor from Geisel Parks.
Okay. Connor Dunlop.
Yep.
Very colourful. So how's it going? Yeah, by All-American?
Yeah, he ran a nice race. Lucy was really happy with him the other day, said he had lots of improvement left in him, and he was really new at it, so he'll improve a fair bit.
One for
Sando. He said he'll get a bit more ground.
Okay. And one for Sando there in the in number 4, our Desperado.
Yeah, well, Sando was going to move it on, and then he wanted to give it a couple of runs there. He asked me if I'd have it, and him and Neville asked me if I'd just give it a couple of runs there for Sando. He paid a fair bit of money. It's beautifully bred, but it hasn't been setting the world on fire down in Perth.
So your thoughts on the first? Sum it up.
I think Lavish Charm, if it brings that northern form, it'll be very, very hard to beat.
Race 2, you've got another shorty in the marketplace with Lucy Reliable Image.
Yeah, it's the only problem with it. It was a great run the other day, but it's drawn a 9 with the rail at 10. She's going to have to give it a good ride for it to be good.
So how do you think of the play at 10? Is it going to be on pace?
Yeah, it should be. It doesn't seem as windy as last week. Last week was really on pace, and with that wind when it blows straight up the straight, it's just really hard to make ground. So hopefully that doesn't come up and it gives everything an even chance.
They reckon it was cutting through a few people, that wind there on last Sunday. A few people from Perth who are up in Cal have come back and they're still trying to get warm.
Oh, it was horrible. Terrible day. One of the worst, I think.
I picked it. I said to Riley, put an extra jacket on, mate. It's going to be freezing. And for those boys and girls, I should say as well, doing the telecast, they've got to be out the front of the grandstand, and there was no hiding. No place to hide.
No hiding there. No. It was terrible last week.
Yeah,
Today's going to be 19. I think it'll be quite nice.
Okay, race number 3, and got to say to Murray Black too, Blue Spec Drilling sponsoring the whole meeting. That's a terrific effort, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Murray. And you never see him at the races, but he always does gets in and sponsors. He's a great asset to the Goldfields.
Yeah, you got 3 to play here: Zing to Wing, Ballbeck, and Treasured Queen. Let's go through them. First, Zing to Win.
He looked a little bit disappointing the other day, but it's hard when you couldn't make ground. He was my best horse last year, most probably. He won 5 or 6 races and was really good. Hopefully we got him somewhere near his best. He was just a bit slow out the other day. If he jumps with him, he'd be really hard to beat.
Ballbeck?
Yeah, he's a real honest little trier. Most probably the hardest thing is they both want to lead. Bellbeck and Treasured Queen, whichever one gets there first will be leading. So with the rail at 10, they both should be really hard to beat.
And Treasured Queen, could you go one better?
She's been a bit disappointing this prep. She had a slight little injury when she went to the paddock. She got hurt in the paddock, and we sent her out and done some jumps with her. She's most probably not the same horse that I had last year when we bought her, but we sent her to an equestrian girl that done a really good job with her, putting her over some jumps, trying to beef up her hind end where she'd run into a pole and just dropped her hip a bit. So
pads
I think
front?
she's nearly back to where she is.
I see you put the pads on front again?
Yeah, just one offside front. Yeah, she was just getting a little pulse in it, and it's nothing to worry about. She's all good now.
3 in race 4 there, Pete. Looks like an open affair in the marketplace. Want a cracker, Weapons Hot, and Twist of Gold.
Yeah, well, I think they're about the same. Twist of Gold's been great. Her last 3 runs, like, I was shaking my head why I ever bought her. She's a Bondi, and I thought, well, why did I buy her? But her last 3 runs since we put a tongue tie on her have been great. Little Jefferson, she seemed to run really well for him last week. She didn't have the easiest runs, and she still fought it out to the line.
Mm-hmm.
And Weapons Hot, he missed the last start, and made some really good ground. If he jumps with him, he should be right there. There's a lot of speed in it, so these... the other 2, if they're going to make ground, this is their chance to win a race. Want a cracker and Weapons Hot, because they'll be sitting right behind a hot speed.
On to race number 5, you've got a couple of runners here in Evelina and 1 o'clock somewhere. First off, Evelina, she's had that one run on the Goldfields this campaign when third to close at hand.
Yeah, well, 1,400 I don't think's really her go. She dropping back to 12. She's a lot better horse. She's just got to carry a bit of weight, but Lucy seems to counteract the weight the way she's riding, so
Yeah.
I don't think that's a real issue. And 1 o'clock's been super since I've had it. She's leaving today. I'm a bit disappointed. I think he's quite a nice little horse.
So he's coming back home or something, is he?
Yeah, I think he's been purchased to race down in Albany. I think he's
Okay.
be a nice little horse for down there.
Well, that's our intrepid producer Sophie's favourite horse, 1 o'clock somewhere. We go to race number 6, another good hand here with Feuding and Dreamtime Jean also in the marketplace. And don't forget, pull the trigger down the bottom.
The trigger.
Yeah.
Well, Feuding was great the other day. It was 1,000 days since he'd won a race, but he really hit the line good. He should have most probably won a bit easy. He didn't get out till late. Pull the Trigger seems to run to him and doesn't want to run past him, so we're going to ride him a little bit different just because he's had a wind up. I don't know if he's getting there, but we'll just try and have one crack at him today. Tasha's been getting going pretty early on him, so we'll just try and save him up for one crack. And Dreamtime Jean was actually really good the other day, but didn't have much luck, but we'll see if we can get across and get to the front today. If not, we'll park him behind him. I think it'll run a better race today.
Okay, 3-handed in the last over the 1,300. You're with North Face, On Just Terms and Dream Brook.
Yeah, well, North Face, it's the first run for me. It's a nice, big, quiet horse. It's a beautiful horse to handle. Lucy had to hop off on Just Terms and ride North Face because it's her husband's horse. So we'll have to see how that goes. On Just Terms was really good the other day, but there's good speed again, and she likes to get out by herself, so we'll have to see if she can get to the front. She doesn't seem to run as good as races when she doesn't lead. And Dreambrook went really good its first couple of runs here this year. The first 3 runs were fantastic and just trained off a bit, so we're giving her a bit of space between runs. And I think she runs a better race when she draws a good barrier, and she's drawn quite well today, so she could be a silly one to put into the novelties.
Okay. Before we get your best bet, Craig Smith, the new CEO of the KBRC up there in the Goldfields. We speak to him most weeks. What's been your thought on his stewardship since he's taken over?
Yeah, great. I think the club's lacked a little bit. He's a really numbers man and tries to work all the numbers. So the club are trying to make money on each meeting. He seems very dedicated. I think he's going to be really good for the club. Hopefully we can have him around for a few years. I think he'll put the club back where it should be. Okay, and a lot of planning right at the moment going around the round, which it'll come up pretty quickly. It's been a fair bit of planning for the Golden Saddle and trying to make it a bigger event than what we've had. I hope we don't get, the old days when you were here, Marty, we got too many on course and then we couldn't cater for them all, but...
Don't blame me.
No, you just get all your mates up here. That's what it was. Yeah, so we've got a couple of big functions we're trying to organise at the moment. So I think it should be a really good round. Hopefully we get some support from all the trainers down in Perth, because most probably Cup Day's been a little bit lean on numbers and quality of horses over the last couple of years, I'd say, especially seeing we've been having... Saturday stakes, it's been a little bit disappointing. I thought the numbers have. Hope we get a little bit...
will be recorded.
So, and it's true, Pete, that this year you're going to have a beefed-up Calgary Cup, aren't you? Because you'll have the Calgary Cup, or before that will be the Golden Saddle, and before that the Ron Sayers Memorial. So you're going to have 3 really good races.
Yeah, we were trying to move one, but we can't move the... Ron Sayers to have it on the Wednesday to give it a bit more spark, because we have to have an emergency for the Golden Saddle, so it's got to come out of that race.
Okay.
So that was the reason we're going to have 3 really good races, and all the other races will be Saturday stakes. So we just hope we get a lot of support from Perth, and there's plenty of money to be won. If anyone wants to bring some horses here, it'll be great for the club and should be great for the town.
And just clarifying, that Hannon's is on the Thursday, isn't it?
Yep, the Hannon's is on the Thursday, yeah. So we haven't it's not a big break this time. Yep. It's just, if anyone's coming, they better start booking their accommodation, because a lot of the mines seem to book a lot of rooms and they're empty, but we're trying to work on the mines to see if they'll release them rooms for the...
That aren't going to be used.
For the weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, that aren't going to be used because they just sit there empty.
Okay, importantly now, Peter, for the punters, what is our best? Label 1.
I think Feuding will go very close today. He's going to be really hard to beat if we get him back to where he was last week. I think he's loving cow, and I think he's a very good chance today.
Okay, race 6, number 2 for Lucy, $2.45 on Tab Touch. Thanks for coming on, Pete. It's been terrific.
Well done, Pete.
Thank you. See you, boys.
He's a beauty. Pete Fernie. Quick break. We're coming back with Kody Charles next.
Racing and sport from different angles. You're listening to the Aftermath on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Racing. Bezecchi began fairly, showing early speed. From out wide was Aston Smoky, who easily crossed the field and went clear by 3. Sunset Comanche came across with him. Vinales, then followed by Sunset Serengeti. Rapido Jedi. Well back was Fast Bite. Bezecchi got checked back to second last. Can you bypass last? Down the back, Aston Smoky on the arm. Out by 3 lengths, Sunset Comanche works into second, then followed by Vinales. In behind them, Sunset Serengeti. And also Bezecchi off the back straight. It's Aston Smoky by 2. Coming at it now with Sunset Comanche to the outside in the straight. Aston Smoky. Sunset Comanche's coming at Aston Smoky. Aston Smoky falls in. Aston Smoky takes out the Paradise Street.
There it is, the finish of the Paradise Street Trophy last night. Aston Smoky hangs on. Kody Charles joins us, who trains Aston Smoky. Well done, Kody. Well done on the win of Aston Smoky last night.
Yeah, thanks very much, Marty. Brad, how are you both this morning?
Very well.
Not as happy as you, Kody. It was a brilliant. He really pinged the lids. Amazing start. It's only a short turn, short run to that corner, the first corner.
Yeah, 100%. When the box draw come out in box 8, he doesn't have a great box statistics from box 8, being a corner start in any state of Australia, but it looked like he was drawn okay, Slight concern, Sunset Comanche box 7 had a bit of speed and can use a bit of the track. But no, he came out on rollerblades last night and was managed to get across. And I knew that he might find it a little bit tough in the run to the line, but if he could have a couple of lengths on him, I thought he'd be very hard to beat. And he held on to the line, which was a fantastic result, and just really proud of the dog of how far he's come.
It was always going to be a great race after the heats, wasn't it, Kody? They were 2 fantastic races, the heats, set it up. And did you think you'd won on the line?
No, I didn't actually. And I it's sort of on that angle, you're sort of looking across the track and the boxes, the light on the boxes, and that was kind of in my way. But Paul Stewart said straight away that he'd won, and then I sort of could get a glimpse of the TV in the back straight after the race as we walked onto the track, and it looked pretty close. I wasn't 100% sure, but on the replay you can see that it was a clear winner. I think he held on by a head. So no, it was a great result. We lucky enough to win it last year with Sage Daniil, so to go back to back in the Group 3 was a really good feeling.
Enough to swear by, and Peter O'Neill doesn't get it wrong, mate. That's for sure. And I tell you what, you said that in your previous statement, you're proud of how far he's come. How far has he come for the uninitiated?
Yeah, so I've managed to link up with Ray Border. He's a very big owner Australia-wide, and he joined the kennel in October last year, and we've got a couple of dogs that we had some good success with, and just slowly over a few months after that, a couple of dogs started to filter through the system, and he rang up one day and said he's got this dog in Tasmania, which was sort of a funny place to sort of take a dog from, and he had a good record over there, and he'd done a good job, and he's I think 2 starts prior that he actually was in a Group 1 in Tasmania and finished down the track, and he sustained an injury over there, and Ray wanted to bring him across but wanted to also make sure the dog was sound before he came, so he had him vet checked in Melbourne and checked out well, and the dog came to me, so we worked him up from scratch, and the dog was showing enormous potential in trials, like very, very good. I've openly told everyone that it's the second fastest dog I've ever put a lead on behind Sage Daniil. And we went to the races, and because he was trialling so good, I was throwing him in the deep end, I suppose. Like every time there was a heat on, I'd throw him in it because of his trials. I knew what he was capable of. I think we had our first 6 starts in the state, and we finished down the track, and decided we'd take him away from Cannington, we'd take him to Mandurah, and he fell over. And then nothing was going right. So I've got this fast dog, and say I've got a very fast dog. We've had 6 starts with him. We've finished down the back 6 times, and on the 7th start, I think roughly we fall over. So where do we go? So we decided that we'll go back to basics. We took him to Northern.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit easier class up there, and obviously less prize money, but we weren't worried about the money. We had to sort of focus on getting this dog's confidence back up, and he got beat his first start at Northern, and then we stuck there. I think he then might have won his next 2. Went back to Cannington over 500 metres and finished down the track again. So then I stepped him up to 600 metres, and he ran a there was time wasn't there, but he ran second over 600, and he just wanted to be there. His chase was good, and it was a very pleasing run. So I thought I went back him up 600 2 weeks in a row, so he slipped back to Northern, and he won there in a very, very fast time. I think he went 29-28, which is a very slick run. Back to Cannington, over 600, got the job done in another very good time. And then the next week was the Paradise Street Heat, so we put him in that. And he won that, and then obviously won last night. So there's been no doubt of his potential, but Ben had to get his confidence back, and we've got the dog back to where we want him now and show him what he's capable of, and backing up what I've been able to say about the dog over the time since I've had him.
Sounds like
really proud of where he's come from.
Yeah, really good training effort there to get his confidence back and get him back into those winning ways with a hat-trick or 4 wins now in a line. So terrific work. Where to now for him?
Not 100% sure. I did possibly consider sending him to Darwin for the Darwin Cup, and then he sort of qualified for this race, and then I've ended up coming up with Aston Bollinger to go to Darwin. So whether I was to send him as well, I'm unsure, to give me something to think about. But we'll just see how he pulls up over the next couple of days. Obviously, the 600 sort of does take it out of him because he puts so much into it. He gets on the arm, and his sectionals last night were unbelievable splits that he runs. So we'll just see how he pulls up, and then we'll make a plan. But, there's no massive plans for him. We'll just chip away, and he'll just race locally, I would say, for the time being. And we'll just hope we can continue racing well, where we know he's capable of.
Kody, thanks for coming on the show. We've got the news coming up. Continued success there with Aston Smokey.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate your time. Have a good day.
Kody Charles, thank you very much. What about a Sunday saviour from you, Bradley?
Very quickly, Townsville Race 2, number 1, Big Demeanour. Dubbo Race 3, number 2, Missy Moss. And Townsville Race 4, number 3, Super Freeze. $10.50, Marty. Townsville 2-1, Dubbo 3-2, Townsville 4-3.
Beautifully done, Brad. Let's hope we get it again. Thanks for your work.
Here we go.